Hello, everybody. Welcome to Our Ventura. My name is Gabriel, your host, and today we have a very special guest. He is not only the publisher and editor of the Ventura Breeze, which everyone knows, but his moniker is also the Governor of Ventura. And recently, he's just won the Small Business Award for Ventura. So I'm very happy to introduce our guest today, which is Sheldon Brown.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure.
Welcome, Sheldon. Nice to see you.
And just to clarify, the Ventura Breeze won the Small Business of the Year award.
Oh, yes. Tell us the real title.
Lots of people involved. I don't want to sound like it was me. It's like a whole bunch of people.
Well, tell us about that.
Yeah, well, there's probably 30 people involved in the paper, between writers and interns and photographers, and it's all their contribution that made it possible. I just kind of put it all together.
Oh,
So
I think that's great.
They all have to get credit.
Well, the thing is, getting to know you and talking over the years, you've had a really interesting path. You've come from being an architect, a building contractor, a college instructor. Tell us how you got on the path of paper.
Well, it's a very interesting question. I wish I had a really logical answer. I think I was possessed by an alien from a parallel universe, kind of like Albert Einstein.
Of course.
Yeah. But we moved to Ventura about 13 years ago, my wife and I. And I'm always interested to know what's going on in the community, so I started reading the few VC papers we have.
Right.
And realized that none of them told me much about Ventura. And always in my mind that Ventura needed a newspaper. Not in my mind that I would have anything to do with it. Absolutely nothing. Because I have no experience in newspaper business.
You mean before you got involved, you were not involved in publishing?
Nothing, not a journalism class, a writing class, a publishing class. No knowledge whatsoever.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
If I could, I'd take my hat off to you right now. But what was your impetus? How did it get rolling?
About 5 years ago, my daughter Stacy went to work for the VC Reporter in sales. And she was there for a few months, still nothing to do with publication. And I took her to dinner one night, and I said, what would you think of starting a Ventura newspaper? And I can't give you an exact quote because this is a family television station.
We can only imagine.
Right, and I said, well, you know I am. She said, we know nothing. And I said, well, the first person that made a newspaper in a cave didn't know anything. And we have the internet. I wouldn't have considered this for an instant without the internet. And I'm an architect, which is a strange answer unless you know the mentality of architects.
It's engineer mentality.
We're very linear, and we use both sides of our brains probably more than any other occupation.
Definitely.
So we decided to do it, and we took out some newspaper and we made a list. Somebody has to print it, somebody has to write stories, somebody has to take pictures, and I took the more technical ones, and we both studied for several months, and I was very honest with people I met, and like the first writer I met with said, how much do you pay? And I said, I don't know. I never did this before. How much do you get? She told me, and I said, that's too much. And in fact, she asked me what writing form, and I said, I don't know from writing forms, just make it sound good. And then in October of 2007, we launched the first issue of the Ventura Breeze.
Oh, hold on. I have it right here. This is a
good.
Classic.
Yes, that's
We have the very first cover, the very first issue of The Breeze.
Yes.
From October of 2007.
Right. And it's funny with that headline, it's about time meant Ventura needs a newspaper. But recently, as you know, the chamber we just spoke about, the Small Business of the Year, and I was going to put that on the cover with that story, but then I realized it's about time sounded like I was being sarcastic, that it's about time we won the award. And so I didn't put it on the cover because I thought it'd be misunderstood.
Well, here is the latest edition, 4 years later, and there's the title, Ventura Breeze Honored.
Yes.
Now they're having a banquet for you?
Yeah, at the Marriott, and there'll be all the other award getters. It's it's a whole bunch. They have the medium business, big business. There's about maybe a dozen awards, and they have a big award lunch, and that'll be exciting.
Well, I think that's a great idea.
And Stacy will be there.
Your daughter who helped you.
Yeah, because I know briefly you may know she left. It was never her dream to do this. She just helped me, and she went on to other things and has come back.
She was out of state, wasn't she?
Yeah, she went to Denver, and she's back, and in February she'll be head of the sales department for the Breeze again.
Very nice. So it's a family affair.
Yes, it is, once more.
That's great. And it's also a family, I think, personally, of Ventura, because our town is special. It's a different kind of a town.
Yeah, it really is. It's a town with 100,000 people, but it's a very small 100,000 people.
Even the show we're doing today is called Our Ventura.
Yeah.
And it gives the essence of what this town is really about.
Oh, right, yeah. And that's what the newspaper's all about, too.
Mm-hmm. That's very good. What kind of plans do you have?
Well, personally, my plans wouldn't be long term, because I am somewhat in my 70s, which is a crazy thing. In my early 70s, I decided to go into a business I knew nothing about.
Well, 70s are the new 50s now.
I know, but I'm still 70 though. It'd be nice if it was a weekly. Right now, we're every other Wednesday, but it can never be a weekly with me unless, I had an investor with a lot of money or somebody bought it with a lot of money, because you'd have to have the money to hire a full-time editor.
Well, I think it's great every other week.
Yes.
And the community's already used to it. And
yeah.
You have dispensaries all over town.
Yeah, it's quite amazing. We're in about 600 locations.
Oh, my goodness.
About 90% in Ventura. We have some in Ojai and some in Channel Islands, Harbor, and a couple in Camarillo.
I think
maybe
that's
in
great.
Ventura, and it's kind of unique. We have drops where we leave like 5 newspapers, like doctor's offices, just want to get out there everywhere.
And then you have places like the post office that run out in the first 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we do. And we're at the train depot at Seaside Park and in front of the Derby Club. So we're kind of everywhere.
Oh, I think that's great.
People call a lot and say, how come there's no papers? And I always tell them they're gone. You have to get there early.
Well, I know that you have several projects involved that are working with you and the paper. And I think one of the coolest things ever is Joanna Spink's portraits of the community.
There's been several highlights, but it's certainly top 3.
Tell me about that.
Joanna Spinks is a almost world-known portrait artist. She has several of her portraits in the Players Club in New York. And in fact, they selected her to do Norman Rockwell, probably a great portrait artist. And so her painting of Norman Rockwell is the Players Club in New York, which was formed by Broadway people. And on a first Friday, gosh, it must be about 2 years ago, I was walking around Bell Arts Factory, and she didn't know I was world famous. And she asked me if she could do my portrait. And so I sat there, and people kept coming in and saying, "Oh, Sheldon looks good. Hey, Sheldon looks good." So, I don't know, about a month later, she had lunch with me and proposed doing the face of Ventura. And for 2 years, 52 issues, for no charge. She's doing these incredible portraits that she does in like 2 hours, which are just mind-boggling.
I think that's great.
In fact, she keeps saying 55, so she has 3 of them up her sleeve that I don't know about.
Well, here's another Breeze page here, and this is just an example of the different people that have been portrayed so far. She's halfway done, and she just had a halfway party.
Yeah, we just had a big party that was really well attended and great. And like I say, she could do one of those in an hour if she had to.
Oh, she's amazing.
Yeah, no, she's absolutely amazing. So,
and they are not only just pillars of the community, they're also regular people.
Yeah, that's why it's called the face of Ventura. It's kind of because she thinks Ventura is a Norman Rockwell kind of town. And so it's people who are well known and people who make little contributions. The issue you held up is a cancer doctor that works with children. Quite an undertaking. And it's these kind of people, a few well-known people, and we meet every couple of weeks, and I give her lists and recommendations, but it's her final decision always of who she's going to paint, because it's her project, and I'm proud that she selected the Breeze to present it to the community and maybe the world.
Well, you never know. I think it's a fascinating undertaking.
Yeah.
And is that around the time that you got the nickname the Governor of Ventura?
I don't know where the Governor of Ventura. Somebody. In fact, I was on some radio because I'm on KKZZ and KVTA.
Oh, that's right.
And somebody mentioned the governor of Ventura's here, and the Governor Brown thing was kind of funny, and so.
Well, I think it's a great nickname, and
So-
I think everybody should start calling you the governor.
I'm not sure if I'm up to that.
Well,
So I'm the governor.
yes. And, you know, the other tie-in for The Breeze is also with here where we're filming the show is at CAP's studio. And you're also one of the sponsors for CAPS and for the annual event called the Cappy Awards.
Yeah, as you know, I was
Here's another cover.
I was a presenter the last 2 years, and surprisingly enough, I may get invited back again.
Oh, I think so. This is the last one we'll show, but it was the issue before last, and right on the cover here's the Cappy Awards, and that was written by a local journalist.
Who is that?
Annie Gabriel.
Yeah, I've heard of her. Yeah.
I just think it's great how, you know, you have it all tied in with the radio stations, the CAP station, the artists.
Yes, it is. And one of the reasons I have to do print media is I don't have a voice for radio or a face for television. So the print media is perfect.
Either that or stand-up comedy.
Right, you don't have to look at me or hear me.
Oh, I think you're doing a
So it's
great
perfect.
job.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Well, what are some of the projects you have in mind maybe down the road?
Well,
anything in particular?
No, I think, of course, the next year with the Face of Ventura.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, news-wise, we're pretty well covered of what I'd like to do. And we've got some nice interns, great writers. Probably like to cover sports a little bit, but being every 2 weeks, it's kind of hard to show sports results that happened 2 weeks ago.
Well, one of the great columns that you have, or it's actually a page, is your dog Scam.
Oh, yeah. No,
He's called Professor Scam.
Yeah, well, you know, he's a PhD, which is a pretty happy dog. And he went to Furry State University. And his writing is a little dogmatic, but it's okay. And he's written from day one, and he's got a really good following, people. And he's got a Facebook.
That's hilarious.
Scam Club. And he doesn't keep it up very well, though. In fact, the Breeze has a Facebook, too, that I don't keep up at all. So everybody's always yelling at me.
But how did the Scam thing get started?
Just me being silly, and I sat at I have to admit, I'm his ghostwriter.
Oh, that's funny.
He's our dog, and I just thought it'd be fun for him to write an article. And I tried one once, and people seemed to like it, and it caught on. And he has 1 or 2 dogs to adopt in every issue, and a Scam Club. So any viewers that have any kind of animal, send their pictures into Scam Club at OurVentura.com.
Oh, that's good to know. I remember we were at lunch one day and we saw a little Italian Chihuahua from Italy. The next day, she was in the paper.
Yeah, and in fact, he's had a potbelly pig and a guinea pig coming up in a couple of issues. So any kind of animals, pets, send them in, and he'll get them in the paper.
That's great.
And you know, he'd like to even have lunch with some of them. He had lunch with the potbelly pig.
That's funny.
And it's really funny. We met at a barbecue restaurant, and the owner kept looking at the pig very suspiciously.
Well, Sheldon, we're getting ready to wrap up here, but I want to make sure to thank you for coming. All the information, your paper is invaluable for the community. I think it's the go-to paper, because if anybody wants to know what's really going on, you just look at it and it's current.
Well, thank you. And we can be read at www.venturabreeze.com. And if you want to reach me personally, it's publisher at venturabreeze.com. Or anyone else at the paper, just email me and I'll put you in contact with writers or Scamp. Why don't you send us your articles about your kids, your service clubs, events going on, and become part of the Ventura Breeze.
Well, thank you so much. And thank you, viewers, to another edition of Our Ventura. This is Annie Gabriel wishing you well. Have a wonderful week, a wonderful month, and a wonderful year. Peace.